Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. It is Sunday, and we have the week in review of all the top stories beginning from Monday, December 9th through the weekend, all conveniently located in one place. I hope you enjoy it. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk.
All right, lawyer.
Remember that judge that was killed in his chambers by the sheriff? Was it part of some sort of sextortion scheme? A brothel, I dare say? Well, let's just wait and see, ladies and gentlemen, because things are getting a little weird, all right? So a Kentucky judge who was shot and killed in his chambers by the county sheriff earlier this year was possibly allegedly part of a sex for favors scheme, according to a witness in a case against the deputy convicted back in January of 2022 of raping a prisoner. So Sabrina Adkina told investigators that the deputy, Ben Fields, had videos of girls doing sexual stuff in the chambers of the judge, Kevin Mullins, who was shot to death in chambers on September 19th by the now former county sheriff, Sean Mickey Steins. Although Steins has pled not guilty, no information has been provided about a motive as of yet. Now, this Miss Atkins testified against Mr. Fields after he pled guilty to raping her. She was on home monitoring while she was a court security officer for the sheriff's office and worked a side job for a monitoring company in eastern Kentucky at the correctional services place there. Anyway, he was initially indicted on 7 felony counts and 1 misdemeanor, but pled guilty to 1 third-degree rape, third-degree sodomy, 2 counts of tampering with a prisoner monitoring device, and a second-degree perjury, and was sentenced to 6 months in prison and 6.5 years on probation. Now, the other charges against him were dropped because of a second victim had in fact died. And Fields was never charged with abusing his position as a deputy or a jailer. Now, Atkins, who was one of the 2 women who filed the civil lawsuit against Field, which also names Steins as a defendant, saying he failed to train or supervise his deputy sheriffs adequately. Now, Steins was deposed in that case a few days before the murder of Mullins, and he claimed he had no knowledge of Field's activity until the criminal charges against him were filed, and he fired the deputy immediately at that point. But Atkins told investigators that she and other prisoners not only had sex with Fields in exchange for bail, but that she saw a video showing Mullins having sex with a prisoner in his chambers. At first, he said she'd seen the video of Fields and some higher-ups, but moments later admitted, I saw Judge Mullins having sex with a girl. It's likely they were running a brothel out of the courtroom, Atkins' attorney stated. Now, according to the lawsuit, Atkins said she met Fields at least 6 times in Mullins' chambers for sex after he told her she wouldn't have to wear or pay for the ankle monitor while in home arrest if she did so. Anyway, Mullins' chambers were used after hours, the complaint alleged, and because there were no cameras in the judge's chambers. But surveillance cameras in Mullins' chambers captured Steins shooting the judge as he sat at his desk. It's not clear when those cameras were installed. Now, Steins and Mullins obviously got into an argument at lunch on the day of the shooting, as we've had witnesses testify that something just wasn't right, and the Steins wanted to bring something up, and the judge says, no, let's talk about it in chambers. Anyway, Steins went back to the courthouse with the judge, met him there, and shot him while he was in chambers, and then immediately surrendered. Obviously, he's been resigned his position. They had a preliminary hearing. Probable cause was bound over. And then he was indicted with, obviously, murder of a public official, which could carry the potential of the death penalty. The defense says, hey, there's justification. Well, even if there was a brothel being run in the judge's chambers and the judge was participating in the alleged brothel, allegedly, not saying he is, don't know, just stating what we know so far, that's still, I doubt, heat of passion, ladies and gentlemen. That's just good old-fashioned, cold-blooded murder. We'll keep you updated as things come along. I don't know what to make of that case. I don't know. I would hope a judge would not do something like that. I would hope a public sheriff, elected sheriff wouldn't do anything crazy like that. And if you did, you'd come out immediately with the reason why you did what you did. Yes, Luigi Mangione. Right, the family of Luigi, the Ivy League graduate charged with the murder of United Healthcare CEO Bryan Thompson say that they are absolutely devastated by the arrest and what has been revealed, which obviously says that their son was the alleged gunman, and apparently he spiraled after undergoing a traumatic back surgery. So the official statement says, "Our family is shocked and devastated by Luigi's arrest," the family said in their statement, shared by his cousin Nino Mangione, a Republican Baltimore County delegate. "We offer our prayers to the family of Bryan Thompson, and we ask people to pray for all involved. We are absolutely devastated by the news." That's from the Mangione family. And they also added that they cannot comment on news reports regarding the accused killer, who was arrested at a Pennsylvania McDonald's on Monday morning following the 5-day manhunt. They said that we only know what we've read in the media, the family said. Now, Luigi Mangione was reported to police by an Altoona McDonald's employee who recognized the suspected gunman from photos released by the New York Police Department. Now, local police approached Mangione while he was eating at the restaurant, and apparently he started to shake. Now, it's unclear what he was eating, if it was in the morning or was he there to get the limited time offer of a McRib sandwich. But either way, when you get hungry, you get hungry. Anyway, like I said, the police approached him and he started to shake when they asked if he had been to New York recently, according to the criminal complaint. Apparently, Mangione provided them with a fake ID from New Jersey, believed to be the same one he used when checking into a Manhattan hostel before the killing. Say he was taken into custody. And apparently, this police officer's been on the job for like 6 days. So he got the big hero's welcome at the press conference. Now, police also discovered a ghost gun with a silencer on Mangione and other items that sources say were consistent with what police were seeking, including a rambling handwritten manifesto that claimed these parasites had it coming. He said, quote, in the manifesto writings, "I do apologize for any strife of traumas, but it had to be done," he wrote. Now, Luigi Mangione is a smart guy. He went to the University of Pennsylvania, both undergrad and graduate degrees in like electrical engineering or computer science. That was it, computer science. Smart guy, but he comes from a pretty well-to-do family. Apparently, they've done well in real estate. They have many golf courses that they've owned, country clubs. They apparently own a radio station and lots of real estate. So he comes from a good upbringing, and the question then makes you beg the question, what the hell went wrong? So apparently in the weeks leading up to the shooting, he became estranged from his friends and family, according to law enforcement. And Mangione's mother actually reported him missing on November 18th, possibly from a home in San Francisco where he lived for a time, and reached out to his peers as they tried to track him down. Now, what keeps coming up throughout this story is this back surgery that apparently changed him, and he went, as some described, as crazy. Now, I don't think he's crazy, but I think he was revengeful. Now, like I said, Mangione hasn't made any statements since his arrest to law enforcement, but he did have an advisement in Pennsylvania this morning where the issue of bond and extradition was coming up, and there was apparently $8,000 found on his person in U.S. dollars and $2,000 in some foreign currency. Mr. Mangione wanted to correct the record that was not his money, and that must have been planted in some way because that wasn't his, but apparently didn't deny anything else in the contents or statements that the district attorney brought up. So that was in Pennsylvania. He was arraigned for the weapons charge, forgery charge there in Pennsylvania, and then ultimately he was been charged with murder in New York City. This is going to be crazy. All right, this is going to make Ted Bundy, Chris Watts look like the minor leagues. This Mangione guy, I mean, you've seen these pictures of him in Hawaii. He's like totally ripped. This guy is going to have the biggest fan club that you can possibly imagine. Not condoning what he's doing, but I'm just telling you. And the funny thing is apparently this guy, hurt his back in a surfing accident, had to have surgery, whatever, was never the same. Apparently his stuff doesn't work because of the back injury, and yet he's going to have all these women fawning over him. Not that he's ever going to be free from prison. I mean, we'll give him the presumption of innocence. Maybe, I mean, there's lots of people out there that are already saying this is some sort of psyop. This isn't the right guy. I mean, he all but admitted it, and they had a gun, a ghost-made gun, which was, basically a homemade 3D printed gun with a silencer on it. And on the bullets, he had deny, defend, and depose. I mean, it's going to be, I can't wait for this trial. I mean, we'll see if he goes to trial. And then what's really interesting, though, is his YouTube account put up this little clock that basically said, if you're seeing this, I've been arrested. Well, I'm assuming while he's been fumbling there with the police, he didn't hit, let's go public on my YouTube page. So the question is, how did that happen? Or did somebody else do it for him? Now, there's also a rumor, and I'm trying to find this out. Maybe we'll know by the live tonight. Apparently, there was some live that was supposed to go up on his YouTube channel today, but I don't know. That's just innuendo and rumor, because how's he going to do that? And I think YouTube has probably already shut down his account at this point. We also take a look at this guy. Here's his Instagram photos that were up before Instagram took it down. But once again, the crack team here at CrimeTalk was able to save that. Now, there's going to be lots of twists and turns. He's going to be charged apparently with second-degree murder in the case of, now he's going to be charged with second-degree murder of Bryan Thompson there in New York. Going to be lots of new stuff developing as this case comes along. We'll bring it to you. It's going to be interesting. I just can't believe the guy's already got this fan club. I mean, it's amazing. And I get it. I mean, obviously we said don't condone violence. We'll give him the presumption of innocence. And if that's not him, they got to prove it, right? They got to prove that it was him, not someone who looked like him, not someone using his identity, but it was in fact him, Mr. Luigi, that did it. Luigi Mangione, whether he's the guy that did it or not. Now, I was kind of hoping the little cat and mouse game would have lasted a little longer than the 5 days that it went, just because it would have been really interesting to see how he got away. But he didn't go very far. And it looks like he went back home. We pulled up his search on CrimeTalkSearch.com, and he has friends in Pennsylvania. Obviously, went to school there. Didn't go far. Isn't it funny? They always go home. The case of Daniel Penny, he's finally made a statement, and he has zero regrets. And he says that he could not have lived with himself and with the guilt if someone was hurt on that subway by Jordan Neely. And thank goodness he did what he did. Now, the former Marine said he would do 1 million court appearances if it meant having to go through this and show that he was correct and that nobody was hurt. Now, as you probably already know, he was acquitted as the subway vigilante because he had no choice but to subdue a deranged Jordan Neely after the vagrant threatened to kill strangers on the Manhattan subway train last year. Now, Penny, who was found not guilty of negligent homicide charges, and the district attorney dismissed the more serious charges of reckless manslaughter last week, gave a interview to a news organization, and he thought that it was a serious enough threat that he had to jump into action. Like I said, the guilt he would have felt if someone did get hurt, if he did do what he was threatening to do, he said he would never have been able to live with himself. Penny also said that he felt vulnerable and felt that he was also in danger when he grabbed Neely and put him in a chokehold aboard the Manhattan F train back in May of 2023. Now, he just threatened to kill people. He threatened to go to jail forever, to go to jail for the rest of his life, Penny said. And now I'm on the ground with him, and I'm on my back in a very vulnerable position. If I let him go, he stated, I'm on my back now. He could just turn around and do whatever he said he was going to do, including killing, hurting people. Penny described himself as non-confrontational and said, I really don't extend myself. This type of thing is very uncomfortable. All this attention and limelight is very uncomfortable to him, and he would prefer to do without it. He said he didn't want any type of attention or praise, and he still doesn't. Now, like I said, last week, the jury was deadlocked, and prosecutors asked the judge to toss the manslaughter charge and have the panel continue deliberating on the lesser homicide charge, which led to his acquittal on Monday. Now, Alvin Bragg, the worst district attorney in America, has come under some pressure since the verdict from critics who claim that Penny is a hero, not a villain, who protected subway riders from a violent and potentially dangerous vagrant. Now, without singling anyone out by name, Mr. Penny said that a lot of these people were self-serving officials who have used this fatal encounter to try and get some political game. Mr. Penny went on to say, hey, these are their policies, and I don't mean to get political, I really don't, but I want to, and he doesn't want to make any enemies, but he figures he already has, but these are their policies that have clearly not worked, that the people, the general population, are not in support of. Yet these individuals' egos are too big to agree and ultimately come to the conclusion that they were wrong. Now, lawyers for Penny are floating the possibility of a malicious prosecution lawsuit against Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, the worst district attorney in America. Now, I don't believe that Penny's legal team will be successful in this. Obviously, these individuals have governmental immunity. A judge found probable cause. I really don't see that this is really going somewhere unless you could find some smoking gun that says they knew that they weren't going to win, but they were going to do this for political reasons. I don't think anyone would be dumb enough, although it is Alvin Bragg, to put that in writing, but you never know. Anyway, the attorneys are saying that there was a blurring of ethical boundaries and failing to act in a manner which you are expected because of their office. That included pushing for an arrest, not to protect the public, but allegedly to protect Bragg's image, his attorneys allege. Now, it was the attorneys for Mr. Penny say it was clear that there was a fear that if an arrest wasn't made and made quickly, that there were going to be riots in the streets, and that that may ultimately look very bad for Alvin Bragg. And in fact, that's what happened, and that could affect his reelection. In addition to Bragg, the attorneys allege that a lawsuit could also potentially name Dr. Jason Graham, the New York City's chief medical examiner who signed off on Neely's cause of death as a homicide by strangulation before toxicology results had even come back. Now, he was appointed by Mayor Eric Adams, same political party as Alvin Bragg, the attorneys noted, and there was collusion there, and I mean the collusion began from the very beginning of this case all the way through. The district attorney needed the medical examiner and needed the medical examiner to act quickly, and he did just that. Now, during the trials, Penny's lawyers also argued that the politically charged case unfairly carried racial undertones, highlighted by Bragg's underlings, Assistant Manhattan District Attorney Daphne Yoran, who also prosecuted the city's first ever restorative justice case on a homicide charge, resulting in a 10-year sentence for someone who snuck up on an elderly retiree and killed him for $300. There were some highlights that were put out there quite extensively in regards to the office practice of not prosecuting crime, and some very serious cases to talking about restorative justice and such, which is the way in some circumstances that's a great thing, the attorney noted. But some brutal cases of an individual who attacked an 80-year-old man, mugging him and punching him and ultimately killing him, and then you're going to go after full-throated against my client, who you admit did a laudable thing and is a fine young man. He described that as absolutely despicable. Now that the criminal case is behind him, though, guess what? Daniel Penny still faces a civil lawsuit from Neely's father, who, well, basically was never around to help and certainly wasn't around when he was running the streets as a homeless man, schizophrenic, on drugs. But I guess it's always about the money, just like we always say here. Now, Daniel Penny did receive a humanitarian award for helping hurricane victims, is a Long Island native who friends described as very calm and empathetic during trial testimony. As a young man, he played lacrosse and was in the school's orchestra as a teen and worked 2 jobs while studying architecture at the New York City College of Technology following his honorable discharge from the United States Marine Corps. Hoorah. Anyway, Neely, like I said, has a lengthy criminal history. I think he'd been arrested 76 times and had an active arrest warrant at the time of his death. He was high on a synthetic marijuana called K2, and he was schizophrenic, like I said. And where was the family out trying to help him? No. But now they're thinking, oh, my poor little son. Oh, just build a statue like Saint Floyd. I mean, seriously. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. You got to look at the facts. I mean, I'm so happy. I followed this case for the last year. I know a lot of people didn't have a lot of interest in it, but I mean, the DA tried to turn this into a racial thing, which it was not. And thank God the jury said that the prosecution failed to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. Unfortunately, I don't think Mr. Penny is going to be able to go after the district attorney. He has immunity. A judge found probable cause to make the case go forward. Unfortunately, that is the process, ladies and gentlemen. I have to explain that repeatedly. I had to explain it again to a client that went to trial last week where we got an acquittal of 5 charges, who had spent a large sum of money, 2 years of his life, and the stress and everything that goes with it. And all you can say is the process worked. And then you have to say, did it really? Well, it does. It just takes a long time. And unfortunately, in today's world, it's very, very expensive. Then we got old Bryan Kohberger. That's right. He's obviously charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. He's accused of fatally stabbing the University of Idaho students, Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, Zana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin in their house there in Moscow, Idaho, back in November of 2022. So Kohberger's legal team was to attend a closed hearing remotely on Wednesday to present arguments to the judge on apparently several motions. Now, if you may recall, at the last motions hearing, the attorneys for Kohberger said we need to talk with the judge, and it's going to be ex parte as it relates to funding of experts. So we'll not know for certain unless a minute order or something comes out, but more than likely that is what's taking place. Now, like I said, in the notice of the hearing, the defense said it would make oral arguments in support of the ex parte motions in front of the Judge Stephen Hippler, who's now presiding over the case. Now, for those who don't know, an ex parte motion is a legal request presented to the courts by one party without the other party being present, which is why it makes sense that it's not in their arguing legal motions related to the case. It's regarding their funding for experts and things of that nature, and possibly scheduling as well. As you may recall from the last hearing, apparently one of their defense witnesses, I believe it actually passed away, so they were kind of starting again, which is going to take some more time. And so we'll see what comes of that if the court date gets reset because of scheduling issues and expert witness issues. Like I said, that's we don't know because it's ex parte, but we're making a deduction there. Anyway, the defense also filed a motion on November 26 to seal the defense amended memorandum and exhibits supporting the Franks hearing. The Franks hearing is held to determine whether an affidavit used to obtain a search warrant contains inaccurate information. As you may recall, Ann Taylor, Kohberger's lead attorney, said she filed the motion because the documents contain facts and statements that might threaten or endanger the life or safety of the individuals. Now, she said sealing the documents would help ensure that Kohberger also has a right to a fair trial, and disclosing the information that's supposedly incorrect would create an unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. The prosecution didn't object to that motion, therefore it was put under seal. Now, Hippler had ordered the defense to amend their motion. He said the defense filed 38 exhibits with over 2,000 pages in those exhibits. And he said, unfortunately, defense memorandum largely fails to identify with particularity the relevant portions of the exhibits, instead referring simply to the exhibit number without identifying the precise page at issue. Thus, the court is left with an unenviable task of sifting through pages and pages of largely irrelevant documents to ascertain what portion the defendant was supposedly referring to. So basically, go back and do it again and tell me what the hell I'm supposed to be looking at, is what the judge said. All right, now Kohberger remains in custody at the old Ada County jail, and he is facing, obviously, the death penalty if he is convicted. We'll keep bringing you that news as well, ladies and gentlemen. First, Luigi Mangione. Detectives investigating the assassin Luigi Mangione say there is no indication that he actually was ever insured by United Healthcare, despite allegedly shooting their CEO last week. So the chief of detectives, a guy by the name of Joseph Kenny, said that Mangione may have targeted CEO Bryan Thompson on December 4th outside that Manhattan Hilton Hotel due to his status as the America's largest health care insurer. Well, it's also emerged that the San Francisco Police Department officers recognized Mangione and contacted the FBI 4 days before his arrest. Now, police sources are stating that an officer in the San Francisco Police Department Special Victims Unit made the connection on December 5th, the day after the NYPD released surveillance images of the suspect of the assassination. Anyway, despite allegedly reporting the connection the same day when Mangione was arrested on November 9th, the New York police insisted that that was not on their radar at all. Anyway, Mangione's arrest obviously has captured a lot of headlines and attention and sent social media into a frenzy, with many questioning how an Ivy League educated, handsome computer programmer from a wealthy family became an alleged assassin. I guess we're going to find out. Anyway, a grand jury has been convened in New York following Mangione's arrest, although he is going to fight extradition, which will take a little bit longer. But mark my words, ladies and gentlemen, he will be in New York sooner than he can say, ouch, my back hurts. Anyway, his next court date in Pennsylvania is December 23rd. So after the NYPD was criticized as the suspect seemingly slipped out of the city before he was apprehended through luck some 300 miles away, the detective said that they have zeroed in on Mangione's movements after the shooting. Now, the detective said that Mangione's family reported him missing in San Francisco in November, and he arrived in New York City's Port Authority bus terminal on November 24th. The detective said that Mangione then immediately goes to the McDonald's in the vicinity of the Hilton Hotel before making his way to the hostel in the Upper West Side. Now, the detective said Mangione was coming and going on a regular basis from the hostel over the next few days, often using e-bikes throughout the city. Then immediately after allegedly shooting Thompson, he got a cab to North Manhattan to the George Washington Port Authority bus terminal as well. Now, the NYPD are still uncertain how Mangione got to Pittsburgh and then to ultimately his arrest in Altoona, Pennsylvania. And he was apparently getting money from an ATM machine. Everything he did was paid for in cash. Now, Mangione was allegedly found with $8,000 in U.S. currency and some $2,000 in some unspecified foreign currency as well. Now, he did deny that when he was arrested, and saying at his initial appearance that that must have been planted. Now, other evidence brought against Mangione include a water bottle and a Kind Bar wrapper found at the scene of Thompson's murder that he allegedly bought from the Starbucks half an hour before the shooting. Now, the gun found in Mangione's bag when he was arrested also matches the shell casing found at the scene.